It's that time again. Time for 24 Minutes with Brady and Stacy.
Let's switch channels. This show is dull.
You bet.
24 minutes is all we have to talk about today's topics and news and views and listener suggestions.
All that good stuff that Brady and Stacey have brought for years, right here for you. We'll start a timer at the beginning of the show, 24 minutes. At the end of the timer, the show's done.
It doesn't matter if we're solving world hunger or brokering for world peace. Once that buzzer goes off, we're done.
Let's put this show out of its misery.
Now on with the show.
Hey there, welcome to another edition of 24 Minutes with Brady and Stacey. I'm Bob Brady.
I'm Stacy Sturm.
Let's get this show started. Ziggy, set a timer for 24 minutes.
24 minutes, starting now.
Our special guest today is a very special guest. So special, many years ago, I had a hat signed by him.
That's right.
Oh,
I
my.
forgot about that. Yeah, look at
found
that.
this. Mike Peluso, everybody. Mike, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great.
Yeah, it's super.
Take us back here, Mike. Like back in those hockey days. Like that's a whole nother life for you now.
Yeah.
Like what were you thinking in the NHL? Like you were there.
Yeah, it's funny, especially my line of work today, I guide people for a living. So I literally, I'm 300 days, both summer and winter. And I don't tell people that I played hockey or anything, I just kind of let it develop, over time. If they figured out, they'll ask questions. But if they do ask me a question about that period of my life, I'll be honest with you, my exact canned answer is that was my previous life. And it wasn't with lack of a better term, it wasn't real. It really wasn't. It's not reality. I guess that would be a better way of putting it. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And now, moving ahead, I'm really happy with where I'm at today.
So, as I'm dying here, so then, we'll just touch briefly on that period of your life. For the people that don't know, you played for the Chicago Blackhawks. And did you play for any other teams in the NHL?
I got an NHL game with the Philadelphia Flyers as well.
The Flyers.
Yeah,
okay.
I was with a bunch of different organizations, played some exhibition games with a bunch of them, but those were the two that I got regular season games with.
Do you ever miss that though? Do you ever miss that whole playing in the NHL?
Yeah, you do. And that's, that's kind of where I'm at today, where it took me a long time to try and reestablish myself, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I think, playing professional sports for a living, again, isn't reality. It took me a long time. I spent a lot of time searching for that, trying to find that same camaraderie within the workplace, the same type of timeline, schedule, challenge, what have you. And it's not there. And I understand better now why a lot of former professional athletes, not just hockey people, why they do struggle with depression and maybe, a chemical dependency or what have you, because they're trying to replace that high. And it's not there. It's just you'll never find that again. And it sets you up for failure, to be real honest with you. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade those times for anything in the world. But it definitely, shaped me to who I am today.
Yeah,
I've heard that from a lot of people, like being famous at anything, whether it's playing hockey or playing football or being on TV or being an actor or being an actress. It's a blessing and a curse because you get that crazy life that you never ever envisioned or dreamed you'd have. And it's like you said, it's not real. And then it's always going to come to an end at some point in time, I feel, for the most part. So then you have to deal with this whole new way of life. Like you said, you have to build an entirely new identity. And I've heard a lot of different people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because you touched on it. Like, so let's say I'm Mike Peluso and I'm playing hockey and everything's given to me. Like, hey, I need this. And you have a person for that, like in the NHL or whatever it is. Because when you played at BHS, UMD, all along the way, like that was your time. And then it's gone. And you have to, like you said, you have to realize what's the difference and how do I fix that?
Or who's real and who isn't. I feel like that's a big challenge because you get a lot of people that really love you when you're here up top. And then when you go when there's nothing famous you can offer them anymore, then all of a sudden those people are gone, which is.
You mean my charm and personality isn't enough? No, Stacy, you hit it on the head, and so did you, Bob. The biggest thing I learned is, I was overly trusting, and that bit me a couple times later in life. But again, it makes me who I am today. I think I'm a better person today than I was, even 5 years ago because of a lot of this. But I always I would sit down and try to evaluate where I wanted to take my life, and I've always had two passions in life, and one was hockey, one was fishing. And again, I own businesses. I worked for different companies. Did a lot of things, coach, what have you. And I was still searching. I was still looking. And finally, I was doing the guiding thing part time, and I figured out, that it was the one thing that challenged me day in and day out. I'm kind of a busybody. I don't handle idle time the greatest, and I need something to keep me occupied. Not only when I'm done, like people think when I'm guiding that, I guide from, let's say, 7 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. They think you're done, but in the guiding world, you're not. You got to get your stuff ready for the next day. You got to reach out, touch base with your clients coming in. You got to make sure you got fuel, bait, tackle, everything tied up, ready to roll. The challenge of where am I going to fish tomorrow, the weather. There's so many elements that were very similar to my hockey playing, and I think they complement each other very well. And at the end of the day, I'm my own boss. I can tell myself I suck if I suck, and that's okay. Where when you're playing a professional sport like hockey, it wasn't always how good you were. It was, oh, let's see, this guy's not making the money this other guy's making. We can't justify putting him in the minors. Let's bring that guy up that's making more money. We got to protect our investment. So you figured out in a quick hurry all you were is a pong, and that's fine. If you can figure out how to push yourself up on the table, it's okay. But at the end of the day, that's, you deal with that too.
It's a lot of politics.
Yeah.
Hey, you touch on the coaching thing.
Yep.
You coached BHS for 11 years? Is that what it was?
Yep, 11 years there and 4 with the Cats.
And then step
Wow.
down from BHS. Was that a parent thing?
Not, yeah, no, not, I wouldn't say it was total parent. I would say it was started by parents.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was administration not taking care of what they're supposed to take care of.
Yeah.
We had a couple situations where, I'll just use one as an example. We had a kid, and I'm just not going to sugarcoat this. His parent told us that if he were to take his own life, which was really hard for a coach to hear, that it would be our fault as a staff. And of course, that's a red flag to get administration involved.
Yeah.
And our administrators didn't handle the situation at all. They pawned it back off on us as coaches. And, I'm sorry, I'm not a suicide,
No.
professional by any means. So,
Yeah, you're not trained in that. That's
no,
not something that you're supposed to
these
take care
guys are
of.
making six figures, are supposed to take care of that. And for lack of a better term, they didn't. And that kind of set the wheels in motion. I was kind of like, wow, I got a lot of time invested in this. Not just my 11 years coaching there. I grew up in that program. I played in that program. My dad coached in that program. I saw it from the very beginning to the very end of my time there. And that was hard for me to stomach, to be real honest with you. And I felt like we had done had such a great run with that program. I didn't want it to end that way. I didn't want to go out on a sour note. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to move away now while I'm still ahead, basically. Because, it's like anything, you stick around long enough. And I think a lot of politicians could say this. Eventually you make a lot of people mad, and they're going to try to, make it a lot more difficult on you. And I didn't want to wait for that to happen. So I just figured it was a good time for us to move on.
Yeah, coaching high school is I said I will never ever coach a high school dance team or junior high dance team again, only coaching adults, because the parents, like, oh my God, if their kid doesn't make the varsity, then all of a sudden you're like, they just weren't good enough. And then that's when or you're like, they just need to work on their skills. They need to work on their skills. They're not ready for varsity yet. And then that's why I left too, because then the parents would go to the principal and they'd be like, she is not good for our dance program. She's too tough. Well, yeah, sorry, I'm requiring. It's no fun to lose when you,
exactly.
And then you have the kids that have really worked super hard are upset because you can't just promote those people up to varsity just to make their parent happy,
Yeah.
because then it makes the rest of the team angry. It's just such a mess. I look back to the good old days, kind of, and maybe they weren't, but if I didn't make varsity, my parents were like, well, you probably should have practiced more.
Yeah.
They didn't go to the school administrator and be like, well, she's too tough. There's too many requirements, then blah, blah, blah. No, my parents were like, well, you should have practiced harder. You guess you're just not that good.
Yeah. I have 2 daughters right now that are playing sports, and I catch myself saying it all the time. And I've always seemed to side with the coaches, whether I agree with them or not. It's just like, no, sorry, ladies. That's all it is. If you're not happy about it, you got to work harder. So
It's life.
it's a little bit tough love, but at the end of the day, I think they'll be better people because of it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Crazy.
So onto the guided fishing tours. Like,
Yeah.
this is your thing. Like, you love this.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I guide both summer and winter. Now, obviously, with our winters that we have in North Dakota, it's not always, glamorous. I always say summer guiding is a vacation compared to winter. Winter's tough. Winter's a lot of work. It's a grind. It's both physically and mentally demanding just because of the conditions and what have you. But at the end of the day, I wake up every day and I'm super excited to get going. And I'm excited the night before, right? So it tells me right there and then I found something that's definitely, where I should be. I think the coaching thing, to kind of touch back on that. I mean, when I was coaching with the Bobcats and coaching at Bismarck High, I think I definitely could have pursued that and left town and maybe done it, at higher levels, and it would have been fine. I think I'd have been just fine with that. But at the end of the day, I wanted to stay home. I travel enough and I want to be around my daughters. And, so you make choices, and this guiding thing does take me away from my family quite a bit. But at the end of the day, you got to still put food on the table and pay your bills. So for me, it's a good fit.
So now in the winter guiding, in the summer, of course, you take people out to your favorite spots on your boat or on your boat, right? Yes, on your boat.
Yes.
So in the winter, do you take them to your ice house?
Yeah, we've run. It depends on our conditions, but yeah, we've all got ice houses. I actually work for a company out of Devils Lake, North Dakota, in the winter called Perch Ice Guide Service. So if I get an inquiry, I forward it off to them. But I ultimately work for him in the winter. But we have our own equipment, so we're responsible for that. And we've got hard shacks, we've got portables, whatever the conditions are going to allow us to use, you got to have. So you do need a lot of equipment. There's a lot of expense involved just to get the ball rolling. And, you kind of build it up over time and collect as you go. But winter, things break and you got to replace. So it's difficult that way. But again, I meet a lot of really interesting people and develop some great relationships. And, it suits me. I really enjoy it.
Do you get a lot of people from across the country or other countries actually come here?
Yeah, I haven't had really anybody. I mean, I've had some Canadian people, but for the most part, you could throw a dart at the map, and that's wherever it hits. You get people coming from those areas. So, I mean, I've had them from everywhere, and it's like I said, it's cool. I get some special people in my boat, and they all have a story. And again, just like I probably would too. If they were to ask me about what I did prior. With the hockey thing, but everybody's got a story, and it's interesting to kind of get to hear some of that stuff, over a course of a day or a couple, 3 days.
What's your greatest hockey memory?
Oh, I've got a few of them. The big one for me playing wise, I mean, it's hard to beat your first NHL game.
Yeah.
But there was a game that we played overseas in the World Championships against Russia. And we beat the Soviet team there, which was, nobody thought we could do that. It was honestly the Miracle on Ice 2.0.
Yeah.
It really was. They loaded up because it was in their home country. So, and that's a big thing. I don't think people understand how big the World Championships of hockey are. It's got 11 times the viewership of a Super Bowl across the world.
That is crazy.
Right. So it is their life. Like when their country is there to represent that tournament, it's all eyes are on board. It's crazy. And we played them. We watched them the night before. They actually beat Sweden 8-0. We're all sitting there going, "Oh boy,
crap!
This is going to be a problem." And I'll tell you what, you guys will recognize this name. I played with a guy by the name of Jason Blake. We all
Oh, yeah.
know that name, and him
Yep.
and I had games of our lives, and we won 3-2. We figured in on all three of those goals, and our goaltender stood on his head. And you play the winners national anthem at the end of the game, and they had to escort us off the rink because we were being pelted by anything that wasn't strapped down in that building.
Oh
And
my
that's God's honest truth.
God.
So that, for my playing days, that was definitely number one. Aside from that, I would say winning the state high school hockey title in 2014 was
Yeah.
the ultimate.
And now on the other side, fishing.
Yeah.
Greatest fishing memory.
Oh, there's a lot of them. That one's tough. I would say a lot of my early childhood with
Yeah.
my dad. Those are hard to beat. I mean, he used to pick me up at school every day with the boat in tow, and we'd fish. I mean, my mom had a rule when I was growing up that he could fish every day as long as he didn't leave me home. So he took advantage. He took advantage.
Get Mike
he took
out of
advantage
here.
No,
Get this
that's
kid out of here.
yeah, and that's the truth. Because if he didn't take me, my poor mom. Yeah, I was an absolute. It was not good. Put it that way. In fact, you guys will get a kick out of this story. But I lived across the street from my elementary school, so I could see everything going on at my house. And if that boat moved while I was in school, I would wig out. Literally wig out. My teachers finally called my parents and said, "Hey, we don't know what to tell you, but you cannot move that boat while Mike's in school." And they did. They told me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, because it wasn't good.
Oh, frickin' North Dakota.
Yeah,
That
there you
is so North Dakota right there.
So yeah, those are the big ones. I mean, obviously, I fished a lot of tournaments. I've won a bunch. I've had accolades of fishing on the professional walleye circuits, and those were great. I'm glad I got to do it when I did. I experienced a lot of the new technology coming through that was just, it was so, like, I don't know, mesmerizing at the time because it was just so advanced, from what we had. And now you look at what these kids get to use that are starting walleye fishing or bass fishing or whatever. It's not even close. And we got us old guys. I can't believe I'm calling myself an old guy, but we got to keep up. I mean, technology in the fishing industry is just out of control right now. So we're trying to, make sure we keep up with the youngsters that just take it. It's just natural to them. We got to learn it and figure it out, but it's natural to them.
Where's your favorite place you've ever fished?
Oh yeah, I've gotten a chance to fish all over the country, and it's funny. You're gonna laugh, but it's right here in my backyard on the Missouri River in Bismarck. There's just something to it, spring and fall, that I just can't get enough of it, and I don't know why. You'd think I'd be sick of it by now because I've done it so much and spent so much time out there. But if you just saw me after the snow started falling here this fall, I was like I was when I was in grade school. I was kicking and throwing stuff and not happy. I'm happy that it's cut short, and I'm not happy, but whatever.
Yeah, we're not supposed to have this kind of weather right now that before October's even done.
Nope,
like it's been blizzards. Three blizzards.
Falls.
Yeah.
Yes. Sucks.
Yep.
They have fishing in Arizona too. You can move down here.
With this ice fishing stuff, eventually I'm gonna have to. When I get older, I'm gonna have to figure out somewhere to go.
Something.
Warm.
Yeah.
No, I've seen grumpy old men.
Yes.
So you're fine.
Yeah,
You just get yourself a shack and a little record player in there, like old Jack Lemmon.
Do you still do hockey camps at all?
I don't do much with hockey anymore. I do coach Team North Dakota in the falls for a few weekends out of the year. I kind of cut back a little bit this year because my daughters were so busy with sports, so I didn't get to as many as I'd like. But yeah, I've backed off. I really locally I've completely removed myself. I got my reasons for it, but I just I want to stay neutral. People have a tendency to want to point fingers and they're real quick to say it should be given back. Trust me, I've given back a lot in 49 years of my life in hockey. So they don't know, and I can't fault them for that. So I just figure it's just best for me not to be around, and it's just easier that way, because if I step foot around something that's going on, somehow, some way, I get blamed, and I can't help that. So I guess that's just the way it is. But
I remember those times when I was there back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Pelusos built that Bismarck hockey program. That's what it was. It was. You got you and your dad. It was awesome. And then all of a sudden, you're right. All of a sudden, well, Jim did this and Mike did this and Jim did this.
It happens when you get to a certain level of fame, like when you become a member of the public eye. There, you just have a target on your back all the time.
Right on.
And it's not
good, bad, or otherwise.
fair.
Well, no,
Yeah.
you're right. And if people really in this Bismarck hockey community really knew what my parents did in the early days, I think they'd call me a liar. I mean,
Yeah.
there was nobody else. It was a family
Yeah.
wrecking crew that did everything from putting the ice on every year, getting the leagues organized, resurfacing the ice, sharpening the skates, making the food in the concession stands, cleaning the building when it was done. I mean, I didn't know any other life growing up, but be at the rink at 6 a.m. with my parents and leave at the rink at 11 o'clock at night. That was what I knew. And when
You were
school
like
got
a
done, I
you
was
were
there.
like Emilio Estevez in Mighty Ducks.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Maintaining the
Yeah.
rink, making sure
Yeah,
the
I mean,
hot
you
chocolate
talk
gets
about
made, coaching the
child labor laws. I mean, my parents
Yeah.
had me doing all kinds of stuff back then because they needed help. So it's crazy.
Oh,
It
that
is. It
crazy.
sucks because it's thankless, right? Like you do like
Oh, totally.
volunteer
Totally.
coaching or whatever it is. It's just people don't know
Yeah.
what you do in your free time.
Right.
Like it's not just rolling the pucks out or throwing the balls out to coach.
Oh,
There's just behind,
yeah.
But,
No clues. But hey, it is what it is, and it's a new era.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
We talk about parents too. It's just the worst. Like I coached my kids for 10 years, and it's the parents that always have that.
Yep.
He should be doing this and she should be doing this. Well, they're not good enough for that. Like, I don't know how to tell you that in any simpler terms, but they need to work on it. Like,
And actually, by you
interfering,
interfering, by parents interfering, it actually hinders their growth.
Oh, 100%. I used to tell parents all the time when they would, and I never had a problem with talking to parents, but they had a problem with me being very honest.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I right. And I told them a lot of times, I said, here's the deal. At the end of the day, I like to win too. And I don't know of any coach on this planet that is not going to play somebody or jeopardize that. I really don't. So they're in a coach's mind. I don't care what sport this is. They're going to put the best people that they feel will give them the best opportunity.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't care what level that's at. No, did I maybe throw a game or two to try to send a message? Yeah, I did. But it was a learning, it was a teaching thing. I wouldn't say we threw the game, but I put people in positions that I kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to work out.
Yep.
But you can't tell them that or can't say that. I mean,
Yeah.
put it this way, my assistant coaches were losing their marbles because they couldn't believe I was doing certain things. But then when the smoke cleared at the end of the year, it usually always seemed to come back. And it was like, oh, man, wow, I'm glad that happened when it did. And it didn't happen now. So pretty amazing.
So here's a fun question for you. If you could take anybody, living, dead, celebrity, on a fishing excursion, who would you want on your boat?
That's a good one. Kid Rock.
I know.
Really?
We just talked to Cat Perkins
a
couple weeks ago about Kid Rock. We were talking about Kid Rock.
Yeah, I just think he'd be a hoot, just to have to listen to him, all his war stories. But he'd be right there. Wayne Gretzky'd probably be another one. Yeah. I do have one Wayne Gretzky story that's pretty incredible. I ended up eating breakfast with the guy by default, and his dad. It was surreal. It was in Detroit. We were playing a college all-star game, and I actually missed the it was a on your own breakfast, but it was a buffet down in the lobby of the hotel, and I was a little late. And I run down there, and I'm like, gosh, can I just run and grab a plate quick? Because the food was still out there, but the gallons and all the restaurants closed. And I'm like, oh my word. And she kind of looked around. She goes, hurry up. So I sprinted in there, and I'm scooping up the food on my plate. And I could kind of feel these people walking by me. I didn't look. I was just putting eggs and bacon and all this stuff on my plate. And I happened to look up, and I'm like, oh my word, it's Wayne Gretzky and his dad, Walter. And we kind of made eye contact. And I had probably a Duluth jacket or something on at that time. And he's like, you here for the college all-star game? I said, yeah, I am. And he goes, well, sit down, let's chat. And I'm like, holy crap. So I sat down. I'm having breakfast with Wayne Gretzky and Walter Gretzky, and all my teammates are walking by in the lobby. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Peluso sitting there with Wayne Gretzky right there. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So that's my one Wayne Gretzky story I got.
So
awesome.
Wayne Gretzky and Kid Rock on a fishing trip. I think that would be super interesting.
Together or separate?
No, we better do those separate. I don't know. They're both their political statures, but I'm sure.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to talk. Yeah, that today too, like the political way.
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
But they might get along, because we were talking with Kat a couple weeks ago, and she's like, he's pandering. Kid Rock doesn't believe any of the stuff he's actually saying. He
Right.
has trans people in his band. He drinks
yeah.
Bud Light. Like
Oh, yeah,
he's
we
just
know that.
feeding.
We're all
he's
that way.
just feeding on that stuff. She says
Yeah.
he's not that way at all. So it's kind of
Right.
so maybe they would get along. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, because we don't know who Kid Rock really is.
right.
That's the timer. That means we're done.
Oh, damn it! Well, that was a good end.
That
Good
was
ending right there.
I like
Thanks,
it.
Mike. We appreciate
No, thank
your
you guys.
time
Sorry,
today.
it kind of took us a little bit to get this
Oh,
done.
fine.
Thanks for listening to 24 Minutes with Brady and Stacy.
That was the worst thing I ever heard. It was terrible. It was horrendous.
Well, it wasn't that bad.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, there were parts of it I liked.
Yeah, I liked a lot of it.
Yeah, it was good.
It was great.
It's wonderful.
Well, bravo.